Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, the best there is, best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Hey folks, welcome to the Smacked Raw podcast. It's Kyle here. Joining us today, we've got Vince and Sebastian. What's going on, boys?
What are y'all?
Just waiting to be drafted, dude.
Yeah, we'll work out our drafts, man. We'll work them out later, man. Thank you guys for joining the show. It's we're just a bunch of guys that like to create a podcast and talk about wrestling. Tonight's show is going to be around SmackDown. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you very much. You can always find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, and iTunes. And of course, you can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us get to 100 subscribers to get that custom URL. You guys, I don't know if y'all caught it, if you keep up with the YouTube channel, but this last week we gained more subscribers than I think any other week since we created our YouTube channel. It's been
must be all that good content we're putting out there for the people.
Yeah, hint, the draft prediction between you and dude, I'm not gonna lie, Vince. I was listening to you and Benji do your mock draft, and I was cracking up, man. Oh my god, I was laughing so hard. Your graphic transitions, everything, like you and Sebastian going, or excuse me, you and Benji going back and forth. Bro, oh my god, dude, I was laughing so hard. If you guys haven't seen it, go ahead, go back.
We'll put like a link to it in the description or at the end credit, so you guys can click right into the video after you're done watching this, of course.
Thank you for adding more work on my end. Okay. Anyways.
No, I'll add that for you.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't care. Yeah, we'll include the link in the description. Check out our mock draft just in case. We'll see how accurate these guys were because we're only halfway through the the network drafts. Like, how would you call this? This draft feels different than any other draft we've ever had.
Kind of like the different feel to it as well, though. It did. I like how like it was presented as like Raw and SmackDown executives, USA and Fox were like drafting for different teams, and Stephanie was kind of acting as like a commissioner, like a sports commissioner, a la the NFL and NBA. Like they were trying to go for that sports feel, and I kind of like it, especially when they were cutting into like the control rooms or boardrooms or whatever. The USA one looked a little bit more cartoonish and comedic to me, but like I really enjoyed the Fox one.
Fox was legit.
The
Fox's war room was legit, dude. They had the robot in there, man.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a former 24/7 champion in there. I forgot the dude's name, but he's a former champion there. So they had yeah, there you go. They have people with the know-how. They know what they're doing over there at Fox, I guess.
Man, hell yeah.
Yeah, I like it, man. You can't get any more of a sports-like feel than what they.
Yeah, Fox is showing WWE some respect. You know what I mean? They're not treating it like they are all in on this investment. I mean,
some people kind of don't like it. Even in our group, Benji was.
You can't please everybody. You can't please everybody.
Benji's hard to please in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta think though. I mean, they're not just trying to reach a wrestling audience. They're trying to make this a sports-like feel to expand the audience.
They're trying to grow the wrestling audience. Yeah, that's what it is.
They don't want the 2 million that's been watching SmackDown. They want the 3 or 4.
Yep.
They're trying to gain new fans, and they're trying new things. And I think they've done a phenomenal job.
Nice. You guys, if you haven't ever watched the show before, we do cover WWE and AEW shows. We mainly do like recaps and reviews and pay-per-view predictions. We do a couple offshoot episodes every now and then. We do some throwbacks. We're looking at actually introducing news to our YouTube channel for the short form content. Keep an eye out for that once we can fine-tune it and figure out exactly how it's going to work. But for the most part, our appeal is we are just a bunch of guys that like to talk wrestling with each other. And of course, we would like to talk it with you. So feel free to hit us up on Twitter at SmackedRawPod. You can hit me up at the Kai Tai Show, Vince here at SES Vince, and Sebastian at WrestlingFan_32. You guys, I kind of feel off my game today. I don't know what it is, man. Today's a little different for me.
I think it was a change of feels for everyone. There were a lot of new like developmental like in character wise for like certain people on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Like it was a changing feel kind of show. Everybody change was in the air, I guess is what you can say, and we feel a little different. New intro, new Bayley, and spoiler for later on.
We got a new person introducing our show, Mr. Bret Hart. Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about that. That's brand new. I'm having a hard time hiding my excitement, man. Shout out to Colin, who unfortunately won't be on the show for another month, but he went out there and we got to credit him for getting the soundbite, getting Mr. Bret Hart to introduce our show. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. But like you were saying, Kyle, we don't want to just talk about wrestling amongst ourselves. We want to talk about it with you. Like you said, you can find us on Twitter, but you could also leave a comment down below on the YouTube version of this and let us know what you think, and we'll reply to it, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I'm scouting our YouTube videos like immediately after they go up, like days ahead of time, just to see, man. Like I am such a nut for all the statistics and everything that's going on with our show. You will for sure find me in the comments section, but of course the rest of us, like Vince said. I mean, that's pretty much it. We're getting into tonight's kicking off tonight, we got SmackDown, day one of the drafts. Yeah, and so the thing about this draft is it's not so much the Raw and SmackDown draft, even though we are setting up the drafts for the shows. This is really build, like you said earlier, network against network, USA versus Fox. And that alone feels cool because I can't remember a time when there was a show that advertised two competing networks together in a kayfabe story. Like it definitely feels new. How about you guys? Like, what do y'all think about that?
It's different. Me personally didn't like the rules they established. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but the 3 for 2, yeah, you can justify it.
No, go ahead. Give us a rundown. Give us a rundown of how the rules work here.
Basically, they were very similar to the mock draft rules that me and Benji kind of had, except since Raw has 3 hours, they get 3 picks. SmackDown's 2-hour show, so they get 2 picks. So for every 2 pick, Raw gets 3. Tag teams counted or stables counted as 1 pick, unless that network specifically wanted that a certain superstar. There was going to be 30 wrestlers or superstars eligible to be drafted tonight, with 40 eligible to be drafted on Monday Night Raw, and whoever wasn't drafted either tonight is technically a free agent and can sign with whatever brand. And they emphasize brand; they didn't say SmackDown or Raw. So, like. No spoilers, but guys like Sin Cara, Drew Gulak, Humberto Carrillo,
maybe NXT bound.
Tamina was on the list. Like she just won the 24/7 title and then lost it. But stars that like didn't get drafted, they're just gonna reshuffle. That I like because it allows them to, like, once they figure out the main card, they can start filling in the gaps with these other stars. And that's basically the gist of the rules. And the start of the show was Roman versus Seth to determine who would get that first pick, either Raw or SmackDown. That's how we kicked things off.
You're forgetting possibly the biggest free agent, Cesaro, was not drafted.
Oh, yeah, he was on the list. It's just like...
NXT UK Cesaro, calling it now.
Oh, no, I want to see Cesaro. I don't watch NXT UK like that. I don't have that much time on my hands. I want to see Cesaro on TV, damn it. That doesn't work for me.
Well, I honestly think I know why Cesaro didn't. I think he was supposed to. I don't know. Kyle didn't see the list, but
no.
There's a list out there. And
spoiler, if anyone's...
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going into spoiler territory.
And on the list, it was going in order, okay? And they had Alexa and Nikki together on the list, getting drafted as a tag team, and to switch it up, they kind of split them. but still made the picks to the
Now,
same brand.
who put out the list? Because I avoided it. You're literally spoiling it for me right now. But who put out the list?
So
WWE.
WWE. Wow. Way to shoot
basically what
themselves in the
happened
foot,
was basically what they did is they put up a list of the draft pool on their website, and in the order that they listed the wrestlers. I mean, at this point it doesn't matter, no spoilers, because if you're listening to us, you've watched SmackDown, so you know the order of the picks already, so it does you no harm. So they went almost in order. I guess someone realized that Twitter was picking up on it, and they changed it up, because at one point Alexa and Nikki were paired together as one pick, but then they made them separate picks, which just to me wasn't. If you're talking logically, like storyline wise, like kayfabe wise, why if they're a tag team and you can draft the tag team, why draft the one person and then waste the second pick on the other person? Not to say that Nikki's a waste of pick, but I'm just saying that if you wanted both Nikki and Alexa on the show, why not just draft them together? It just made no sense, and I feel like they just scrambled once they realized that Twitter found the list and put things together.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They was like, well, we can't make it match this, so we're just going to switch some things around. And I'm pretty sure the Cesaro pick, it was supposed to go to Raw. I'm pretty sure that's what happened right there.
Yeah, makes sense. So did this is the? I hate to say it. I just realized I took all these notes and I did not remember to take down. Where did SmackDown air from tonight? Las Vegas. Okay. So this was a weird episode. Not a bad episode, but a weird one. Because when you watch a wrestling show, it feels wrestling and story role orientated. But tonight was all about the draft. Like Monday, the matches were low stakes, more showcase. The only match that had stakes was tossed out, and we'll get into that one here in a second. Well, no. The main event. The main event.
The main event and the opener were the only matches that had stakes. And
that's right.
There were maybe like two other matches, I believe. Other than that, or like, am I missing a third?
Let me see. Hold on. We got one.
First, there was the 6-man tag, and then there was the Corbin match. It looked like
three,
it was just
four matches. We had 4 matches tonight, not including any dark matches that took place off the air.
Yeah. So for a 2-hour broadcast, you can only fit 4 matches in there.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the only thing about the these events like the drafts, man. They don't want to tip their hands and give away anything that's coming up new storyline wise, so they just gotta.
You just gotta power through it, man. You gotta power through it.
Yeah.
And they kind of like put themselves in the predicament in the opener match, because you put Roman versus Seth, you can't really have Roman lose because it's Roman and he's like the top draw on Fox. Fox doesn't want him to look weak. And then you have Seth Rollins, who's your top champion over on Raw, who looks like he's going to stay on Raw. And you're both in a situation where, like, just like Hell in a Cell when they had The Fiend versus Seth Rollins, you're in a situation where, like, okay, well, neither of these guys can lose, but we're doing the match anyway because we already announced it. Yeah. I was intrigued with the matchup. The matchup overall was kind of really fun. Obviously, like, these guys are friends and they have solid chemistry. It was just a very solid, good match to get like the crowd into things. It started off kind of slow, but towards the end, it was just a really fun match. It had your standard Seth Rollins like dives, springboards, like indie style moves, and you had Roma with the classic, power moves, with the slams, with the clotheslines.
Can we pause really quick and talk about how Seth Rollins' entrance is made for that SmackDown set? I would be amazed if he is drafted to Raw, because his entrance in that SmackDown set is perfect. My God, dude.
I mean, it's kind of hard because, like, I have something to add to that. The nature, the way this match ended, it looks like a storyline is going to continue or might continue, or I don't know what they're going to do with that, especially now that it looks like they're in a predicament. And then Seth being champion, so you're saying if it's made for the SmackDown stage, which I absolutely agree with.
And he's
a
Raw champion. Yeah, it's crazy though.
And the titles are color coordinated. It has a red title. Like you cannot like be more like. There's so much
Look,
blue on SmackDown that red is just gonna pop
There's
out.
a reason why they announced on Raw that champs are not, immune to being drafted, man.
So then, like, let's say hypothetical.
Seth's
Then
going around.
You think so?
Sebastian's probably right here, but
Maybe.
let's just play along with Kyle here, okay? For a second here, let's just play along with Kyle. If Seth Rollins does go to SmackDown, does he drop the Universal title within like no booking whatsoever, like no storyline development whatsoever, or does he take the red title to the blue show? Brock Lesnar then goes to Raw, even though Fox looks like they want Brock Lesnar on SmackDown, and then you're either in a situation where like neither. It doesn't make sense storyline wise to have the other person on the title.
You're overthinking it, man. You are overthinking it. It is.
I'm sorry.
Simple.
I am a man of logic and reason.
It is as simple as this.
Guys,
Listen, hold on.
The thing took Seth to hell.
No, listen.
He threw him back out.
He threw him back out. It is as simple as this. Seth goes to SmackDown. He takes the Universal Championship with him. The WWE champ, Brock Lesnar, is probably going to go to Raw. What happens? There's only one of those two titles is color coordinated. And damn it, if everyone isn't ready for that Universal Championship to get a makeover. And this would be a perfect opportunity to.
Funny story.
The WWE Championship goes back to Raw, which has always been kayfabe-wise the A show, whatever. And then the Universal Championship, with less lineage, goes to SmackDown, kayfabe-wise the B show. Now, don't argue with me. I get it. SmackDown is hyped up to be the bigger of the two shows going forward. Completely understanding that. I'm talking about from Vince McMahon's logic. His lineage belt goes back to his number one show. The Universal title, which was just created a couple years ago, goes over to SmackDown, gets a makeover. I don't think it turns blue, but it loses the red strap, and you get Seth Rollins on there. Why? For the pure sake his entrance is cooler on SmackDown. That's my whole logic.
The one thing I'm going to add to that is that you're saying it's going to get a redesign. It's not, Kyle. They're just going to make it blue.
I kind of believe you. But hey, look, man, Daniel Bryan got a wooden title, like a hemp title. You know what I mean?
But that would have been an upgrade. But here's the thing: like they're not gonna redesign the title. They actually.
Sorry.
What if Seth Rollins comes out with a Guy Fieri title? It's just flames, bro. It's just flames.
Kyle, I think you're just reading into like the stage just looks amazing with anybody's interest in general.
Seth's is perfect for SmackDown, man. They got flamethrowers coming out the top. All right, look, man, it's so good.
He's a Raw. He's gonna be the Raw. He's gonna be Raw. Brock Lesnar is gonna stay on Fox. Come on, stop it.
I don't even think that Raw is gonna be Vince's number one show anymore. I really don't.
No, it's gonna be the XFL.
No, SmackDown.
It'll be Paul Heyman's baby right now because Paul Heyman doesn't want Brock right now. He would prefer Seth Rollins because it looks. Based on the picks that they made tonight, they're looking like they're going in a certain direction on Raw and SmackDown.
But no,
I don't know.
The way I looked at it, like I said, the Fiend pulled Seth under the ring, but then he threw him back out.
Yeah, so by the way, if you guys haven't caught on, the match between Rollins and Reigns ends with a Fiend's interference, but the Fiend doesn't appear out of nowhere like he normally does. He does the old school Undertaker thing where the ring opens up. He pulls Seth Rollins down dramatically with the mandible claw. After the lights come back up, Seth Rollins gets spit back out. And that was actually really cool.
There was like smoke coming out from under the ring, and then the Fiend did that whole like the eight clown thing, you know, the meme where he's like looking at you from underneath the sewer. You know, he did that.
It's so good.
And then like the lights go off, he teleports back to the top of the stage and stuff like that.
I took it as the Fiend's way of saying we'll meet somewhere down the line, but for right now, I'm done with you.
Please be effing done. Because it looks like tonight
him on SmackDown, Kyle.
No. You know what I realized though is tonight kind of made people forget about the Fiend and Seth Rollins in Hell in a Cell. I'm just now thinking about that match.
I've never forgotten it.
No, what I mean is when Seth came out, I didn't get the inkling to boo him, for the rubbish match he was a part of. And then when Fiend made his appearance, it didn't feel cheap to me. It didn't feel like, like he lost any shine. So maybe that's an inkling that we can get over that Hell in the Cell match, and let's never do anything like that again.
Okay, first off, I didn't think that match was rubbish. I freaking love the match. I just disliked the finish, but I'm okay with the finish.
The finish was like 3/4 the damn match. It was so long.
Okay,
Man.
honestly, man, I'm in the minority here, but I enjoyed the hell out of that match. I thought the red lighting was cool.
Man.
I thought the entire story was kind of cool. I thought that he was kicking out a finisher. So here's
it was a nice run. Our show had a great run, folks.
Oh my gosh! Stop it! Hey man, if Steven Larson liked the match, it can't be that bad of a match. Come on, man. I'm not that much of in the minority.
I know Colin came on here and gave us a big explanation, but I don't care what the story is. You don't end a Hell in a Cell in a no contest.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing. It's like that's the only thing. That's the only thing I didn't like is that it ended in a no contest when it's a no DQ match. But we're getting sidetracked here, guys. If you guys want to listen to us chit chat about that match, you guys can watch our recap of Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Back in
the fuck just happened.
Back in 2008, Triple H broke a sledgehammer over a 50-year-old Vince's head. Matching it stuff. Just saying. Broke the damn hammer in two.
All right, let's keep the show moving, man. Up next, we had our first round draft picks for Raw. Number 1 pick, I knew it. I wish I had called it. Becky Lynch's number 1 overall draft pick for Monday Night Raw. Raw also picked up the OC, the full stable, and of course they picked up Drew McIntyre, the next big thing. SmackDown picked up Roman Reigns, was their first number 1 all pick.
Yeah.
And then also picked up Bray Wyatt. Awesome first round picks, man.
That completely surprised me. I did not expect the King to go to SmackDown. I thought he was robbed.
Do not lie. You saw the list and knew Becky was.
No, I never saw the list, man. Dude, so listen, if you guys haven't noticed, maybe you can tell if you're on the YouTube feed and you're looking at the video quality over here. I got a new PC. I have been scrambling like a madman to get this stuff set up for tonight's show because I procrastinate. So I waited till there was only an hour left of SmackDown, and I had to download a million programs and set everything up. Oh my god! I did not see the list, Sebastian. Okay, leave me alone.
But yeah, what you didn't address, Kyle, which was like I was kind of confused because the match, the Fiend attacked Seth and stuff like that, but there was no bell ring, nothing happened. They just went into commercial afterwards. But they said
just like Hell in a Cell. Well, no, they rang the bell at Hell in a Cell at least.
So the thing that I did like here, and I made a note of it, was they came back and they explained. So because of what happened, Seth Rollins was attacked. He won the match via DQ and stuff. So that's why Raw had the number 1 pick. So I was confused coming into commercial break. I was like, wait, so the match is over? Wait, what's going on? Especially because Roman Reigns just disappeared. He was nowhere to be found.
Are you kidding me? After seeing that Hell in the Cell match, if you're Roman, I'm out too, bro. Fiend's here, I'm out, son.
It's just like a subtle jab at AEW, and I loved AEW's Dynamite on Wednesday, but I hated that they don't establish the whole DQ rule or the tag team rules and stuff like that. There's no establishment of rules, and at least Raw on SmackDown tonight, they said, okay, this is what happened, this is why that happened, Seth got DQ'd, that matters. To me, I think that matters, even though the finish at Hell in a Cell was crap, I really like the fact that they established that, yes, Seth won because of DQ.
Got you. Yeah, it makes sense.
And it is consistent. Anytime the Fiend has interrupted in the match, you can go back to Rollins the last 3 weeks on Raw, and every time the Fiend disrupts a match, the bell doesn't ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's consistent.
After that, yeah.
I would say we have pretty much your pay-per-view kickoff panel with Renee Young, Booker T, Beth Phoenix, and Samoa Joe. All kind of giving coverage. We forgot to mention, tonight's show got amazing amount of coverage. I cannot believe how many correspondents they fit into this 2-hour show to give their brief takes on the draft and all of that stuff. There really wasn't much to note here, but I heard, now I missed it, so hopefully you guys caught it. I heard Samoa Joe took a jab at AEW.
Yeah, that's why I kind of threw in my jab about the DQ for AEW, because I wasn't the only one to throw a jab tonight at AEW. So did Samoa Joe, because he was introduced by Renee, and then he said something along the lines like he made a joke about thanking Renee for like being on the show, or like having the show or whatever, to helping keep the lights on at home or something like that, because in storyline within WWE, Ambrose is fired and he's gone and stuff like that. So he was always throwing jabs at Renee Young about Dean Ambrose.
About Ambrose, okay.
Yeah, so they always did that. So that's what it was. It's like, he's not here anymore. You're like you're the one that's making the money for the house, for the home and stuff like that. So you're the one paying the bills and keep the lights on. So that's what it was,
Now, before you guys eviscerate us in the comments section, we're only calling him Ambrose because we're referring to WWE logic. If you tune into our AEW shows, we do call him Moxley, okay?
Yeah, I mean, he is Moxley, but I'm just saying, like, he was covering, like...
From WWE standpoint, they'll only ever acknowledge him, if they ever do, as Ambrose.
Exactly. So
yeah.
That's what that is. I'm not calling him Ambrose because I refuse to call him Moxley. No, I actually prefer the name John Moxley as opposed to Dean Ambrose. But
you got to do damage control, man. Whenever you use a wrestler's old non-current name, you got to make sure, man. Oh boy.
Speaking of someone who's using a new name, Chad Gable came out and had a match against King Corbin, and it's official, guys. He is now Shorty Gable.
What?
It is terrible. It is. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Oh,
I hate it. I couldn't even think about the match. I didn't even take notes about the match because, like, I thought it was just gonna be a thing where, like, Baron Corbin just like, oh yeah, he's Shorty Gable, but they had his nameplate with Shorty Gable. The announcers throughout the entire match call him Shorty Gable. Like,
it's because so King Corbin can now call shots on creative. That's what happens when you win King of the Ring. You have creative control over, I guess, other performers' names.
No, Gable, when he won Sunday, he did say, I don't care, call me Shorty, I want him.
Yeah, I know storyline-wise, Gable said that, you know what, like, call me Shorty Gable, call me whatever you want. Today I was the winner and stuff like that. That happened last week, but I
want to call you Chad Gable. I want to call you Chad. Yeah, I don't want to call you
Chad is such a good name, too. Like, Chad Gable is such a good name. See, okay, so, like, going back to your point, if Baron Corbin or King Corbin has the power to, like, change people's names, can he please give Mustafa and Andrade their full name back? Like, I want to call him Mustafa Ali and Andrade Cien Almas again.
Yes.
Can he like do that? If he has that
Absolutely.
power, I'm gonna tweet him after the podcast. I'm like, hey, can you please give these guys their name back?
I love Hurricane Helms' take on this. He's like, fans always say the WWE needs to bring back the Attitude Era. It was crazy, pure fire. Then they call wrestlers Shorty, and the fans are like, that's outrageous. How could they? I mean, look, back in the day, there was a lot worse being said than Shorty, and we ate it up back in the day. There's nothing wrong with Shorty.
Attitude Era had a lot of cringe with a lot of awesome.
Yes, they did. They did.
That's the best way to describe Attitude Era. Was a lot of awesome with a lot of cringe like sprinkled in there as well. So like no era is perfect. Whatever era you grew up when, you're just gonna love. Like me personally, I enjoyed the Ruthless Aggression era a little bit more, but that was just what I grew up with. Like,
Same here.
That's just me. But like going back to the match, Corbin ended up picking up the win here, and from there they just transitioned into the second round of picks that Stephanie went ahead and made.
Well, hey, now before the match got going, you had Troy Aikman and Joe Buck talk the draft a little bit, and Buck asked Aikman, former Super Bowl champion, by the way, Troy, what would your finishing move be? And Troy, he's a fan of the pile driver. And damn it, who isn't, man? It's just amazing he highlighted the pile driver, which is a banned move in WWE.
NXT does a lot of Canadian destroyers, Kyle.
Yeah, but it's not a pile driver, all right? It's not a pile driver.
When he said it, though, it did show just a tombstone.
Yeah, they don't show the traditional pile driver. So that was
They also
odd,
did
man.
a shout out to Dusty Rose too, which is what I noticed.
Yeah, they did. That was the Fox NFL correspondents. You had Terry Bradshaw, Michael Strahan, and a couple other fellas talking about who their draft picks would be, and they went over some legends. They said Andre the Giant. Yeah, you said, Dusty Rhodes, which is nice considering what his son is currently doing. And a couple other. Ric Flair was in there, you know. I was overall, I was kind of. This made me happy. Now, this is a brief one. We don't have to go into a deep dive about this. But you know, a lot of wrestling fans might be self-conscious because there is a stigma about being a pro wrestling fan that you might be open to criticism or made fun of, which when you're older, you realize, like, who cares what other people think? But some people, you know, they are self-conscious. And so to see, like, all of these sports channels and correspondents that have nothing to do with the pro wrestling scene kind of giving their blessing and their takes almost makes, you know, the whole being a pro wrestling fan in the show more inclusive and easier to talk about. I feel like you know, it's not going to be too long from now that people won't be so scared to go out and share their fandom of pro wrestling, because you know there are some closet fans out there. I personally, like I said, I've said it multiple times on the show. After that Katie Vick segment back in the Ruthless Aggression era, I didn't tell anybody I watched pro wrestling for like a decade because I was scared someone would bring up that segment. You know, I hit it personally. So I liked it, man. I like the idea of seeing people you wouldn't really associate with pro wrestling kind of giving their blessing one way or another. So that was cool to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What do we have next? Oh, shoot. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming out.
No, we had Stephanie making the second round picks.
Oh, yes. Sebastian, do you got these? Do you want to cover them?
But yeah, go ahead, Sebastian, if you have them as well.
Thought we lost him.
Oh, no.
No, I was gonna. On Raw, they got Randy Orton, Ricochet, and Bobby Lashley. On SmackDown, Sasha Banks and Braun Strowman.
Was Sasha Banks not the most obvious pick for SmackDown?
I had my fingers crossed, man. Like, that blue hair, all that blue, she'll fit in just right.
Just like... Yeah, go ahead.
Like, she's always been like a big SmackDown fan. She's always, since the original draft, she like did like a whole thing where she wanted to be on SmackDown. So like, I'm happy for her. I'm happy, you know. Like, it gives me a reason to watch SmackDown on Fridays.
So yeah, at this point on Monday Night Raw, they need to draft Nakamura for the same reason. Dude comes out in red leather, and he's got Sami Zayn backing him up. That's a lot of red, okay?
Did you notice that in the draft pool they mentioned they didn't have Sami as a separate pick? They had Nakamura and Sami Zayn's Nakamura and his manager Sami Zayn. So wherever Nakamura is going, Sami Zayn is going with him. And obviously he has to go to Raw because one thing that maybe is brushed under the rug here is AJ Styles. Wait, no, he has to go to SmackDown, Kyle, because AJ Styles on Raw. He's the U.S. champion. Unless he drops that title, one of those mid-card titles has to go to SmackDown. So if Nakamura is going to go to Raw, he's not coming with the title.
That's
or
true.
If he does, the U.S. title is somehow going to make its way back over to SmackDown.
Unless they figure a way to double up and then use like a Survivor Series to smooth out the title situation. But I don't think, I think you're right. Yeah, so
I think if you end up in that, it just makes it too predictable.
Right.
It's so like if Raw Superstar picks up the U.S. title, then that means that the SmackDown Superstar is going to pick up the IC title. There's like no way.
I mean, like, if I'm really in the draft room here and the U.S. title gets picked and it's my turn, logically, even though it's predictable, I'm gonna take the Intercontinental title, so I have a title on my brand. I don't want to.
Logically, your first, if you're Raw and you get 3 picks right out the gate, you pick the Universal Champion, the World Champion, and then another champion. You just scoop up why aren't the champs the first picks? You know what I mean?
Well, today Nakamura, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and Charlotte weren't eligible to be picked. So that's why they weren't picked today.
Oh, so that was established.
Yeah,
There were 2 pools, so like
Oh,
Nakamura,
that's right.
Lesnar, Seth, Charlotte, they were all in the pool that can only be drafted on Monday Night Raw. So that's why Nakamura wasn't picked tonight. That's why Lesnar, Seth, and Charlotte and Bayley weren't eligible to be picked.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. So coming up next, now this is my segment of the night, and this is just because I'm a UFC fan and I've been waiting for some crossover with this story, and I'm glad it finally happened. So Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman come out to address the crowd about Brock Lesnar's match with Cain Velasquez at Crown Jewel. Paul Heyman, nice little spin on such an original promo that, like, on his normal promo. It was Cain Velasquez who brutalized, victimized, and dominated, or what it conquered Brock Lesnar in UFC. And he kind of scoops it up with Brock didn't make any excuses for his loss, whatever. But as he's rounding out his promo, out comes Ray and Cain Velasquez. It's funny because it's kind of like it's weird because Ray is Kane's mouthpiece, as where Paul is Brock's mouthpiece. However, though, Kane did give a little bit of a promo, not before they rolled footage of Kane's vicious beatdown of Brock Lesnar in the UFC. Oh my God, I forgot how bad Brock got beat up in that match. Man, it was brutal if you've never seen it. But afterwards, Kane, speaking in Spanish, comes out and says that he's going to give Brock Lesnar a matching scar on his other eye at Crown Jewel, and that was the promo. And I got to tell you, man, I loved it.
I mean, one thing, this is just me nitpicking, and obviously Benji had the same point in the chat, is that the fact that Kane did his promo in Spanish when he is from Cali, or he's from the States, so his English is way better than the Spanish. As a Mexican guy, as a bilingual Mexican guy that can speak Spanish, his Spanish isn't the best. It probably translates better to you guys that you don't speak the language, you can't tell that it's
Whoa,
not
way to assume that I don't speak Spanish.
I mean, you assumed Ester Rios was Mexican. Come on, it was a fair assessment. It was a fair assessment based on that one quote you gave us last time.
All right, fair point.
Hey, Quattro, Cinco, see, I got it.
Hey, see, Sebastian's got it. Sebastian's got it. But no, but that's my only nitpick was I felt like his promo would have been more impactful if he did a more of a Ray type thing where Ray goes into Spanglish.
Yeah,
Spanglish is great. Spanglish, I think it would have translated better for Kane. I think his just Spanish isn't A1 Spanish material. You know, it's more like you're barely getting by your first your first Spanish course back in college. You just enough to pass the class.
My thing is, I think that they probably were working with him. This is my theory. Is they were like, okay, Kane, this is your promo. We want you to come out here, deliver these lines, to Brock Lesnar. Go ahead, let's practice it a couple times. Kane probably was delivering those lines in English, and they were like, Kane, you suck. Do you speak Spanish, right? And Kane was like, well, I mean, a little bit. They're like, it's good enough.
You know what it is, and so I don't know if you guys do you guys listen to Gabriel Iglesias at all?
I watch his stand-ups.
Okay, his stand-ups. He made a joke when he was doing Disney or whatever. He was auditioning to do some voiceover for a car the kid show or whatever, and they told him to add a little bit of spice and so I felt like that's what it was. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I felt like they said hey, you're Mexican, right? We want to reach out to the Latinos out there, saying in Spanish. That's how I took it.
Yeah. No, I totally can see that too. Is just oh, you're Hispanic, right? Yeah. Like I said, coming from a UFC fan standpoint, I've always known that, he's Mexican descent. He's not from Mexico by no means. He's right. 100% American.
Like I said, if they did the promo in Spanish, because Ray translated for him, which is what I didn't like. Had he said his promo in Spanish and then repeated it again in English, because that's what Ray does. That's what Eddie Guerrero used to do. Kane can do that. I felt like they should have just done that. It would have been more effective. Yeah. But they got the point across, I guess.
I think they just had to keep that dynamic that Paul is Brock's mouthpiece and Ray has to be Kane's mouthpiece. I think that's just all it is. It's an image thing. It's symmetry. It's dynamic.
Right.
But yet, I completely agree with you. From if you know anything about Cain Velasquez, it made no sense for him to cut the promo in Spanish because that's not his first language. But yeah, they just they're probably just banking on that. The majority of the wrestling community doesn't know that. So
Yeah, for the most part. Oh, but what they did do is that they did highlight, like you were saying, like the gist of the promo was Paul Heyman putting over Cain Velasquez, but basically saying that come Crown Jewel, like he's gonna, like, this isn't a prediction, this is a spoiler, Brock Lesnar's gonna win. And they did actually show highlights of their UFC match, and the close up of Brock Lesnar's like face just brutalized.
Jacked up, man. He got jacked. There's a scar under his eye that is courtesy of Cain Velasquez. That's something Brock's gonna have for the rest of his life, man.
Mm-hmm.
And how underrated is Brock's emotional selling? Like, you could look at his eyes when Paul was dropping that promo, and just when Kane came out.
Yeah.
Like,
They say
it bothers him, dude. It bothers
they
him.
say
He did a
in
really
acting-
good job of selling it.
In acting, they always tell you, try to draw from a real life experience. I don't think Brock has to try that hard, man, when he sees Cade, man.
But
just
you can tell
whenever-
he's having fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
just whenever Paul was dropping the promo before Kane came out there, like, his eyes, when he brought up him getting his ass kicked, man, like, it just, I don't know. Like, props to him, man. He's underrated when it comes
You never
to
seen
selling.
Brock look really vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
I like it. Here's the thing. Haven't been the biggest fan of him, like having a chokehold on the title for so long, but I really do appreciate Brock Lesnar because when he's motivated, he's invested in something, and he's having fun. You get the best out of Brock Lesnar. Like Ruthless Aggression era, Brock Lesnar was probably like the most entertaining stuff that he's ever done. And then his Goldberg stuff is good. His stuff went against
He
Undertaker was
came out
good.
with a mariachi band, bro. Like, where's the sombrero?
I'm Mexican, and I found that shit hilarious.
That was
I found that
some
shit because he was
racist
so into it, though. He was so into it. He fed right into it. And here's the thing: he was having fun. I liked it. He was being a prick heel, which I appreciate. That's more emotion than I've seen Brock Lesnar ever have. And honestly, like, Brock Lesnar just having fun. Like, it's night and day. You see him in the program with someone like even Finn Balor, someone like Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. There's just a different level of Brock Lesnar when he's invested in something. Like, if you go back and look at his Braun Strowman's programs, you can tell he wasn't that like invested in any Braun Strowman match. Like, he didn't get like it was night and day.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're completely right with that.
But speaking of night and day, we had the New Day coming out. They were doing their regular shtick, coming out and like introducing themselves to the crowd and stuff like that. And they went to commercial. And when they came back, they were doing the whole Susan G. Komen stuff. Then they had these two pink titles for these two, I believe, cancer survivors that happen to be twin sisters.
Yeah, Woods is very touching when they do this. It's October, so it's WWE goes, huh?
Breast cancer awareness
month.
month.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So WWE is all in for Susan G. Komen, and yeah, you said it right there. New Day presents two survivors with these championship titles. Woods is. Their segments are always touching. This did lead into our next match, the New Day versus the OC. And Sebastian, how was this match, man?
It's fine.
It was good, right?
It was
It was fine.
It was a standard wrestling match. The finish was like,
dude, Kofi beat AJ Styles clean in the middle of the ring with a Trouble in Paradise. For all of you that were scared, what was going to happen to Kofi Kingston? Was he going to get lost in the shuffle? No. What do? He pins the U.S. champion clean with a Trouble in Paradise in just a matter of minutes. Like, that is awesome to have Kofi go and lose in the devastating fashion he did against Brock Lesnar and then come back out just a week later when everyone's like, man, Kofi's just going to be another guy. Like, hell no.
I was legitimately concerned for a while. It's like, it looked, cause especially when they announced the match, it felt like Kofi, and when they were doing the introduction, it felt like he was just
another New Day member.
Another New Day member. It was like New Day Kofi's back. It wasn't like champion Kofi Kingston. But towards the end of the match, they singled out AJ versus Kofi, and that was great. I liked that they did that because they put him on par with guys like AJ Styles and emphasize that he may not be in the title picture right now,
but he's still worthy of it.
And man,
Sebastian, you were saying something?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kofi being the same old Kofi tonight. I mean, last week you got beaten 8 seconds. I would like to see a little more fire in Kofi.
They should have given him a promo.
I mean,
to address the crowd and address the loss.
Like,
he should have been just different in the match. He should have been just more aggressive and more focused, more zeroed in on AJ Styles and the task at hand to prove that he should try to get back into that spot.
Yeah,
WWE probably just didn't want to take attention away from the draft. Like, hey, look, just go out there, but don't get yourself over. We're gonna give you the win, but we need to keep stuff going. We got to keep the main focus. It's the draft, and that's probably what it was.
I mean, I don't know. You had a major character shift later in the show, and I don't know. I would just like to see them a little more fired up after.
Completely agree.
Just getting embarrassed.
It was actually just like the 3rd out of 4 matches in the card. It was one of the 2 matches just kind of felt like one of the Raw matches, where this match specifically felt like, it's a showcase match, because that's what it was. They didn't even give it too much time. It maybe got like 10 minutes if you like include the commercial break or whatever.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, it wasn't too much. The big highlight was towards the end, like Kofi versus AJ, and like they made an emphasis saying that I don't know if you guys caught this on commentary, but they were making the point of saying that we know the OC are all going to Raw as a collective unit, but the New Day haven't been selected. We don't know where they're going. This might be the last time we get to see New Day versus the OC, but they might be separated because they don't necessarily have to be picked as a team. So what scares me, and I don't ever want to see the New Day broken up, because we saw that with Kofi Kingston, he can be elevated to a title picture, and I feel like Big E is in that same ballpark. He can be elevated to the WWE or Universal title picture without having to break up the group. And honestly, like, that's my big thing. I really hope they don't just pull something where they draft Xavier Woods and Big E, members of New Day, into Raw, and then Kofi Kingston to SmackDown, or vice versa. That's what I don't want to see.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Well, it looks like we had a little hiccup in there in our stream, but I got it fixed now. Yeah. Yeah, I want to see them at least next week, or, because New Day, let's go into this last draft, and then I'll double check. The round 3 of the draft we got, it's funny because round 3 and 4 followed each other, so I don't know why they didn't just combine them. But round 3 was Raw gained Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, and Natalya, while SmackDown got Lacey Evans and The Revival. They turned around, came right back, gave us the 4th and final round of the night, where Raw gained the Viking Raiders, Nikki Cross, and the big one, Street Profits, official, going to Raw.
No, I think the biggest pickup was Lucha House Party going to SmackDown Live with Lucha House Party in the field of the draft. That's what I'm going to go with.
But
that's just me overhyping them up.
So wherever New Day winds up, I do want to see in the week or so following, Kofi needs to address his loss, and I'm sure they're going to. I don't think they're just going to wipe it under the rug.
That just gave me an idea, Kyle.
What's that?
I think New Day might be going to Raw, and I think OC versus New Day might be a feud that we have carry over the next couple weeks and months, and that's where Kofi goes next. Since he got a clean victory over AJ Styles, maybe he's going to challenge AJ Styles for the U.S. title now. Yeah. So maybe they're going, and then they transition New Day.
They keep a belt on him. Yeah, they keep a belt on him. Yeah,
because I was talking about that in our predictions in our recap episodes when we were talking about during our predictions episode, there was no U.S. title match. He went through Cedric, and that Hell in a Cell, it was going to be a mystery partner, and it was Braun Strowman, and he's now on SmackDown, so that's not going to happen. So AJ needs a new contender. He's kind of went through a lot of the baby faces on Raw, and Kofi Kingston would be a new, interesting matchup that I'd like to see.
And you know what that would lead us into? Kofi wins the U.S. Championship, And if you're right and Seth Rollins goes to Raw, we finally get that promised winner takes all match that appeared the Raw after WrestleMania that was promised to us.
It's not the same.
And then we get the winner takes all. Seth's like, hey, look, man, we can finally do that winner takes all match. And then Kofi wins, and he's a double champ. U.S. and Universal champion.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm calling him, man. I'm calling it right now.
Just going over some free agents since that was the final round tonight. Cesaro, Humberto Carrillo, Tozawa, Sin Cara, Eric Young, EC, Chad Gable, Heath Slater, Drew Gulak, and that was your free agents.
Nice.
The big ones for me, obviously the biggest one is Cesaro, and like we were talked about, he might be going to NXT UK, which I hope not, because I want to see him more on TV. And I look at the guy, and he's honestly WWE Universal title material. Hopefully, maybe NXT. Another guy that I saw in there was Drew Gulak. I saw when his name was in the draft pool, I figured, oh, that's the reason why he dropped the title to Leo Rush, because he's moving on to main roster. But he wasn't drafted, so maybe either it's one of two things. Like some of the cruiserweight guys, like Humberto was there, I think Tozawa was there, and so was Gulak. Maybe they felt like the audience didn't knew them because they weren't big enough names yet, so they were going to sign to Raw or SmackDown in the coming weeks and like get built up slowly and sign as free agents and let people get to know them. Or they're just gonna use it. They were just using it as an excuse to like diverse the cruiserweight division elsewhere to like to NXT or NXT UK.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Cesaro's the big one. I really like. I'm Chad Gable too. He was on the show,
NXT
but he wasn't drafted.
Bro. UK, man, he's going to UK, son.
Yeah, EC3 is another name. He was in my draft, but man, I guess they don't value him like I did.
EC3's tweet, man.
No, I didn't see it. Remind me to go back and look at it.
No. I'll read it on air real quick. Yeah, so EC3 is not happy with, obviously, and why would he be, his position on Raw.
Yeah.
So he pumped out a tweet. What's it? So yesterday, it's a picture. It's this is his tweet.
Oh wait, him hyping up the draft.
Corporately mandated social media post concerning hashtag WWE draft tomorrow on at WWE on Fox, and then in parentheses, complete with out of context image of an elbow drop. It's just like, dude, could you be any more? Him and Luke Harper have stopped giving an F. I'm telling you right now.
Even when he does his entrance, I haven't seen him like have a match recently, but
no.
Like you saw that one. Have you seen that one
the comparison video? Yeah.
Yes, it's night and day, and I hate it, and I freaking hate it because I was watching Impact when he was over there, and I loved his work. When he was in NXT, I thought he was one of the most charismatic guys down there on the mic. He had like a banger of a theme song. You know, I always try to throw in that one banger word in there. I know Benji loves it, but I'm just high. I'm just high on EC3 in general.
I'm looking at his Twitter feed, man, and that's not the first time he's been salty. Like, it looks like the last several tweets he's done is just like it's such salty content.
I feel
I kind of feel like that's his gimmick, though.
I'm telling you, yeah. I mean, maybe, but it's so hilarious.
I kind of crack up, like, if you see his entrances on Main Event now. I don't watch it, but people post it. Him just throwing his arms in the air, like, you know, just don't care at all.
Did you try to do that on purpose, Sebastian?
Yeah, if he was doing that on purpose, he wouldn't be on TV. Main Event or not, he wouldn't be used at all. So, I feel like it's just part of it.
Weren't like the reports like saying that like Luke Harper and EC3 had a match and it was so bad Vince McMahon soured on both of them or something like that?
Oh, it was that when John Moxley or Dean Ambrose was on the way out, he was having a match with him in with house shows, and they weren't getting the reaction that they wanted. And ever since then, they they haven't done anything with him. But yeah, so the original news reports was during that whole like Dean Ambrose burial phase where he was getting like laid out by Nia Jax and stuff.
I was actually hyped for that match. I want to see Dean Ambrose versus
same
Nia
here.
Jax.
I wanted to see it too. But yeah, so if I remember correctly, it was that they were doing a string of house show matches, and EC3 could not elicit the correct response from the audience. I think.
How could he? When they introduced him, they wouldn't even let him speak on the mic when that's his best quality. He's he's not an AJ Styles. He's not a Ricochet. He's gonna get himself over by getting on the mic and cutting promos and just be charismatic like he's been on Impact.
I think Vince just sees his physique and figured that was enough. As I don't know, man.
Not all Vince thinks alike, I guess.
It's so it's so confusing.
And that fact alone is why I'm so shocked that his main roster run has been the way it was. I thought for sure Vince would love him just because of that physique. I thought that was a Vince look. I mean, I thought he would have a lot more success.
I hope he goes back to NXT.
That or they just repackage him, you know?
No. Repackage. Don't repackage him. Like, I think it was good. It's just that they bungled it to start things off. NXT, send him back to NXT or let the guy go to Impact where he was shining. Because I don't know.
Yeah, but someone else who got a repackage, Bayley in her match. Oh, damn it! My segue.
We're talking about sports fields.
Yeah.
There's Raw and SmackDown hats for when you get drafted. Apparently, Street Profits have the hats on in the video that they just posted. That's
nice.
Awesome.
I'll check it out.
Hat.
Oh, speaking of being drafted,
Did we talk about Corbin and Gable?
We did.
We skipped.
Brushed over it. We brushed over it.
Okay. I was just sitting here like, did we talk about that? Okay.
Yeah, we did. We did. It was not fun to talk about, so it was brief.
But a match that is going to take place, like I don't know if you guys caught this, but just like Roman and Seth took place tonight to determine the number one pick, they actually announced that Becky versus Sasha is going to take place on Monday to kick off the show to determine who's going to draft number one for Raw or SmackDown on Monday.
It'll be
so
real. I don't know. Just thinking about the order because they're not doing the 3 years ago or whenever they did the first one like this.
Yeah, 3 years ago in 2016.
They would do the 3 Raw picks and then the 2 SmackDown picks. But now they're going back to back. I don't know how you could do SmackDown first and still get the 3 Raw picks.
I think what happened last time was Ambrose got the first. Like SmackDown went first. They picked first. Then it was Raw. Then SmackDown. Then Raw did 2 picks back to back.
That might have been. I thought they just did like 3 and 2. You might be right though.
No. But yeah, that's what's happening on Monday. But the other 2 horsewomen, they had a title match. Like you were saying, Kyle. Let's get back into your segue because man, they did a great way to segue into this new Bayley character. Because like they started off with Charlotte. Went to did her entrance. The match was starting. They cut to commercial. They come back. Bayley's coming out. She has a hoodie on, and I'm like, that's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, why does she have a hoodie on? And then I was thinking, like, did she cut her hair? I didn't think she was gonna cut her hair. I thought she just didn't have the ponytail on. So then she comes out. She does her normal entrance. Then she looks different. She looks like, no, this isn't me. This doesn't feel right. Like let me actually show you guys. And then she starts like unzipping her hoodie, like and then like slowly starts exposing like the new gear, like the new way she spells out Bayley on her gear. She takes off the hoodie to reveal a brand new shorter haircut. The pigtail, the side ponytail is gone. This is a new Bayley.
No more tassels.
No more tassels. She has like these like rhinestones, like kind of like scales on her jacket now, and I've noticed that ever since she turned heel. And she came out with like a lumberjack like axe and came down and just committed murder on those poor Bayley buddies.
All those Bayley buddies, all gone, man. She
They're
slayed
all
them
gone.
all. Yes.
Freaking Rob was probably like
Dude, Rob was beside himself, man.
He loved it. Rob loved it.
Yeah, he's been calling. Everybody's been calling for this whole lean full into the heel. Stop being heel by proximity. Stop playing you're a heel but a face. Like, be a heel. And I get it. I didn't mind. I didn't mind how they were playing into it, but I'm glad now it was how it was because it really led into this. It almost was like she had a crisis of confidence or a crisis of character, and finally she just had enough and now is committed. And it's awesome, man. I love her look, everything about it. She comes out to have a rematch with Charlotte for the title that Charlotte just took off of her last week, giving Charlotte her 10th title reign. I think that's more title reigns in the female division than any other woman.
Yeah, before that, I think it was Trish Stratus with like 7, I believe.
Yeah. The match was not the greatest, most technical match because, I mean, none of the matches really were given enough time to breathe. But there was a couple things to note here. First, Bayley hit Charlotte with the Bayley to belly. Charlotte kicks out, pretty much seeming to seal the fate. So, yeah, Charlotte, of course, hits Bayley with the natural selection. But Bayley rolls her up last second and gets the win, gets her title back, only a week absent. Who saw that coming? Who saw Bayley?
It was a pleasant surprise. I didn't like when you come out with a repackaging like that, a full blown like leaning into that heel turn. If she doesn't come out here and like win, like you'd be doing a disservice to like everything you built up. And they actually like, I didn't like that it was Charlotte because that led to her 10th title reign. And I feel like she's so young that she's gonna be wrestling for a couple years to come, and she's gonna end up with like 20 title reigns by the time it's all said and done.
I think they're gonna give her 16, just like her dad. That's what she's gonna
end up with like 35 title reigns.
No, she's gonna cap out at 16, man. She's gonna cap out at 16. That'll be the story. Flair's can't get more than 16 title reigns.
Went ahead and told the story of Bayley going and changing something about herself, changing the way she approached the ring, coming into the ring for matches, the fans, everything. She changed everything about herself. She redesigned, rebuilt, and she reclaimed that SmackDown Women's title. And like isn't I'm trying to do a thing, Kyle. That's all.
Sorry.
Charlotte's just 33. She's definitely passing her.
What's that
again?
She's just 33 years old.
She's a female, though.
No.
Hey, look, man. I'm saying now. I'm saying, once women hit a certain age, man, WWE don't tend to hang on to them.
I think that's that would have been a little bit more true towards the back end of the year, but like in this new era, I feel like some women wrestlers, like they even brought back legends like Mickie James. She came back. They've brought back.
Yeah, you're right. No, never mind. I stand corrected.
It might be times might be changing, just like Bayley changed tonight. Because like, even in the roll up, what I really like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when she rolled her, because the reason why she got hit with the natural selection is because she was complaining to the ref. Then she complained to the ref like 3 or 4 times the entire match. Then Charlotte should have just pinned Bayley right then and there after the natural selection. She tried to go for the figure 8. Bayley reversed it, but she was pulling on Charlotte's hair as she was doing like the inside cradle that she was doing, and that's how she won.
Yeah, because they said if you ain't cheating, you ain't winning, or something like that after the match.
Yeah.
No, man, it's cool, man. I'm happy, bro.
Like, I want every single time somebody asks Bayley a question, I want her response to be, "Fuck you." That's why. That's what I want from Bayley.
So she grabbed the mic, and they came back from like the replays.
Her new music. They debuted new music in her win, which sounded like some generic, really generic WWE music. It did not sound like an actual.
Looks like some generic stuff you get for your custom character when you play.
Yeah, exactly.
The promo was really good because she didn't say much, but she's like, "You like," without dropping the B word in here, but she's like, You bitches out here," and then she was referencing the crowd. She called them the B word, and she told them to. She just looked at the crowd. She said, "Screw you,
all of you,
screw all of you," which I love.
Yes, dude. So I saw right before we started shooting the episode, I was on Twitter trying to gather a couple things, and I did see a reaction video, and it was a child around probably the age of like 10, bawling his eyes out like when she was slaying the Bayley buddies.
Bailey buddies.
Yeah, this kid was like I'm not one to laugh at a crying child, but this kid was losing his stuff, unfortunately. Like he was very distraught to see his hero turn to the dark side. Even though us cynical adults have been pining at it, there are people who this legitimately affected now. But yeah, Bayley needed this, man, and I'm cool with it. I'm really stoked with it.
I'm glad because I felt like she was in the place where John Cena was back in the day, and like when she was being brought up to the main roster, people were making the John Cena comparisons because she can like gravitate towards kids and stuff like that. She has, and I just really like it because she just dropped the whole "I'm not a role model anymore. Screw you guys. It's about me. I'm going to focus on me," and she stopped pretending to be the good guy here. She stopped pretending to be the face and just like decided this is what's gonna happen. This is why I haven't been successful on main roster. She blamed the fans, which is like the natural trope that wrestling usually goes to. But like it made sense, and I really liked it here. And John Cena never had that heel turn at like when he was like on top, and this was very satisfying to see Bayley finally have.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree with you. Yeah, I bet if John Cena turned heel, man, a bunch of people would cry. Like, it'd be a bunch of kids. I don't know about nowadays, just because
I would have tears of joy, Kyle. I would have tears of joy.
All right, you guys. Thank you for joining our show. Make sure to tune in later. We pump out about 4 episodes, about 4 podcasts a week. Next up is going to be when we cover Monday Night Raw and their draft. And then, of course, following that, on Thursday, we will have our NXT and AEW recaps. And, of course, we might sprinkle some extra content in there here. We might actually have another show up before Raw. We're kind of discussing it.
I'm actually working on Benji. He's going to do a parody of the Muscle Man dance on YouTube, so look out for that.
Oh, Jesus, yes. I can't wait for that.
I just made that up, but I'm going to try to get it going.
Yes. I'm almost like an hour and 6 minutes, man. I'm saving that clip. We'll send it to
Really interesting, though. I know there's a lot of people that says Kane won't be around long. Apparently, he signed a multi-year deal today, WWE. So.
Yeah, I sent that to my brother, man. I told him. I said, looks like he's officially out of UFC, man. He's retiring from MMA.
So multiple years, so might as well get used to it.
I can't wait, man. Cain Velasquez, I've been a huge fan of him for years because he's a legitimate like killer. Like to put it lightly, this man can murder anybody on this planet. The only thing that held him back in the UFC was he's injury prone. He's always had like knee injuries and stuff like that. If this man had managed to stay healthy, he'd probably go down as the most decorated heavyweight champion in MMA of all time. But that's a story for another show. But anyways, once again, you guys, thank you for joining us. I guess we will see you next time.
See you later, guys.
See ya.